Hi, everybody. This is Leanne Simons from PEA. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. I do see some of our ESC and vendor representatives joined as presenters. We accidentally sent the wrong link the first time we sent something, and we sent an updated link as a participant. So if you stay on as a panelist, that's fine. That's not a problem. But just make sure that you stay muted throughout the entire presentation. Hi, everybody. I still see people joining, so we're just going to give everybody about 1 more minute to join, and then we'll get started with the presentation. Tausi or Ryan, I'm not sure who is presenting, but can you go ahead and start showing the presentation?
Sure. Good morning, Leanne. Good morning, everyone. I will go ahead and present the slides. Okay. Go ahead and share. Do you see the slide, Leanne?
Yes, I do.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. It is 10:01, and I do see quite a few people on the call. I just want to cover some housekeeping first. Again, my name is Leanne Simons. I'm from the Texas Education Agency. We work in partnership with the Texas Department of Agriculture and Health and Human Services Commission on the Pandemic Electronic Benefits Transfer Project. Here at, again, it's a tri-agency effort. So I just wanted to be sure and cover a few things. The first one being that this is being recorded, so we are required to let everybody know when we are recording presentations as a state agency. So we wanted to let everybody know that we will be sharing the presentation. We will be sharing the recording after this is done and the recording is ready. I already see some questions coming in asking if we are going to share the presentation. We shared that last week, but if everybody needs it again, we'll go ahead and share this presentation and the P-EBT upload help guide again when we share the recording of this presentation. We are covering 21-22 summer in this presentation. I know that we have sent some information related to the the potential 22-23 school year pandemic EBT program, but we are not here to cover that part of, because again, we don't know anything and we yet as far as next steps regarding that. So if you were to ask any questions related to that, we're not going to be able to answer any questions during this presentation related to the potential 22-23 program. So again, I ask that you, if possible, please try to hold your questions until we get through all of the presentation, because we have tried to incorporate everything related to P-EBT in this presentation for the summer. And then we will answer your questions as we can. We'll try to answer them as we're going through the chat, but we also want to be sure that we are focusing on the presentation at this time. So we have presenters from TEA, from TDA, and the Health and Human Services Commission. So we will go ahead and just jump right in and get started. So welcome and thank you. We have our ESC representatives and our vendor representatives participating who were invited to this presentation. So thank you all for taking the time to be here.
Let me take it over.
Go ahead. Yeah, if you want to go ahead and go to the next slide.
I'll definitely take it over. So move on to the next slide. So I will cover this slide, which is pretty much highlighting what we'll be covering during this training. Like Leanne mentioned, this is only focused on summer 21-22. And so the agenda will include the summer eligibility to understand which children are eligible for summer 2022 P-EBT. Preparing the upload files, you'll hear from presenters from TEA, talk about public schools, and also from TDA, talking about private schools. We'll then discuss timelines, be able to share with you some key dates that you all should be aware of. And then I'll have a colleague of mine here at HHSC go through the upload process, demonstrate a live upload process. And then we're going to have ample time to be able to answer your questions and have a great discussion so that we're able to ensure that the summer upload process will be a smooth one. Okay. All right, in terms of summer 2022 campus eligibility, so campuses must be approved to operate the National School Lunch Program, NSLP. NSLP approved campuses also include those that operated the Seamless Summer Option, SSO, in school year 21-22, and also those NSLP campuses electing the Community Eligibility Provision, CEP, or Provision 2, P2. So that is in reference to campus eligibility for summer 2022 P-EBT. And I will pass on the next slide to you, Leanne.
Okay. So in this slide, I'm going to cover the requirements for public school districts. The next slide or so will be Annika from TDA will cover it from the private school district. But for public school districts, P-EBT summer does provide food benefits for families with children who, one, were eligible for free and reduced price meals at any point throughout the 21-22 school year. And again, this is at NSLP approved campuses, or they became newly eligible for NSLP between July 1 and August 29th of 2022. So again, that's through that they came in, they were not eligible for 21-22. They came in at some point between July 1st and August 29th. They completed the form and were approved for meals or for free and reduced price meals during that time frame. A student, this is another requirement is that, but this is not a requirement that you need to be worried about as a public school district in uploading the data. The student must have been enrolled at an NSLP campus at the end of the 21-22 school year. TEA is taking care of that requirement for you. We are providing the attendance data for all NSLP campuses to HHS so that they can validate that for you. So, again, you don't need to worry about that third bullet. TEA is taking care of that and making sure that we provide the data that you all submitted in the 21-22 summer submission. And then the last bullet is that the students are receiving SNAP, or there are children who are under the age of 6 or under 6 years of age. And the note below again refers to which campuses are eligible and the students which are attending those campuses. Next slide, Tausi. So to get more into the details about the actual data that is submitted, so LEAs, again, NSLP approved campuses, LEAs that have NSLP approved campuses must upload the students that meet the following criteria, which is they must be identified as economically disadvantaged with a PEMS code of 01 or 02, or the student has been identified as homeless, foster, or migrant. So this is the same exact requirement that we had for the 21-22 school year. That actual requirement has not changed. It's a PEMS code of 01 or 02, or the student was identified as homeless, foster, or migrant at any point during the 21-22 school year. And then item B is that any student who is, or all students who are enrolled in a CEP or P2 campus are eligible regardless of their economic disadvantage status code. So again, these are the same exact requirements that we had back in for the 21-22 school year. And I will hand it over to Annika from TDA at this point.
Hi, good morning, all. I'm just going to cover briefly the private school specifics for uploading. The basic eligibility requirements are the same, but we know that systems for private schools are quite different than those from public schools. So this is really for child nutrition ESCs who deal with private schools in their regions. Of course, PEMS ESCs will not be dealing with these campuses specifically. But I just wanted to break it out very detailed because there are some particularities that the private schools will have to look at. And we will also, TDA will be providing direct training assistance to private schools because there are fewer of them. But we do want ESCs available to assist if you have private schools in your region who need help. So this will be covered, everybody will be creating 2 files, but this will be covered a little bit more in detail later. I just wanted to break it out this way to make it very clear. So the file 1 is that it's students who are eligible for free or reduced price meals during the 21-22 school year at any time. So those are students who appeared on the direct certification list at any point during the 21-22 school year. Students with a household application for free reduced price meals that was certified during the 21-22 school year, or all students who attended a CEP or P2 campus in the 21-22 school year. Now for file 2, that's what Leanne was referring to in the previous slide. This is the newly eligible period between July 1st and August 29th. So students who were not eligible for free or reduced price meals during the school year, but became newly eligible during that time. So again, that's students who appeared on the direct certification list between July 1st and August 29th, students who completed a certified household application between that time period, or students enrolled in a campus that operated CEP or P2 during the 21-22 school year. So our next slide is breaking down the CEP. Well, sorry, Tausi, go back. I'm still finishing that one out. Just for forecasting that we're going to talk a little bit more about CEP because I know that is a little bit confusing. But so just very clearly here, students who enrolled between July 1st and August 29th at a CEP or P2 campus that was already operating CEP or P2 in the 21-22 school year. So now the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about the differences between school year 21-22 and school year 22-23 as it applies to CEP. Just a quick note that there may have been, we're not doing new P2 campuses, so there wouldn't be new P2 campuses for 22-23. It would only be new CEP, but there may still be some operating P2. So to break it down here, this goes back to the federal regulations for P-EBT as it relates to CEP. Typically during the school year, CEP or P2, a special provision offers blanket eligibility to the students for a free or reduced price meal or free meals, and then it offers blanket eligibility for P-EBT if they met the other requirements. However, a campus that began operating CEP for this school year, so 22 or 23, does not have that blanket eligibility. The children still need to have an individual eligibility determination if they are attending a new CEP campus. So I hope that you all will, this applies to public schools and to private schools. So I hope you all will take the time to review this side closely when you have the time to, but just understand that the new CEP campuses, students had to have either appeared on the direct certification list in that July 1st to August 29th time period, completed a household application during that time period. They do not receive blanket eligibility for P-EBT for attending a CEP campus that just began operating in school year 22-23. And I'm happy to answer more questions about this during the Q&A period, but wanted to make that as clear as possible, hopefully for you all who are wondering. Thank you.
Thanks, Annika. And so to what Annika was talking about in terms of you'll be uploading 2 files. So this is just kind of like a heads up prior to the demo and the upload process that Ryan will be talking about in a minute. So in terms of preparing the upload files, use HHSC's CSV upload file template to upload student data. Do not change the file layout. The headings or columns formats remains the same. Upload the file or list 1, which you will notice here how it's labeled S3 for semester, file 1, and then for the newly eligible students, it's semester 3, newly eligible file 1. So please make a note of the filing system or naming system for the 2 files that you'll be uploading. Please do not combine school year 21-22 students and newly eligible NSLP students into one file. These files or lists should be uploaded separately with the exact file naming standard listed herein. I will now talk about the timeline of different activities that will be upcoming and some that we've already kind of finished. So in July, we did have, on July 1st, schools were able to receive new NSLP applications for summer P-EBT eligibility. The deadline for that was August 29th for schools to receive any new NSLP applications for families or children to receive summer P-EBT. September today, we do have our upload training with our audience, and then tomorrow ESCs will be, that's the deadline to submit updated point of contact list to TEA. Just in case more information is needed on this, please do contact Leanne or Melissa or somebody on the TEA side. But essentially, we will need, HHSC will need an updated list of any new points of contact that will be accessing the Your Texas Benefits portal in order to upload the files for summer. October 14th, TNTDA will be sending us the list that you all will be sending to them, the final list of school points of contact. Between October 17th and October 28th, HHSC will be creating new point of contact user accounts and deleting any existing non-user point of contact accounts. On October 31st, Your Texas Benefits portal will open for school points of contacts to upload 2 differently labeled lists, again for school year 21-22 students, and the second list for your newly eligible NSLP students. November 11th, the YTB portal will close. Schools do not have access to upload data. Between during, again, continuing to November, the week of November 14th, we plan to release, have a press release and also launch the website that will have information regarding summer P-EBT. Between November 14th and November 18th, HHSC will validate uploaded files, and TNTDA will work with schools to address any identified errors. We do recognize that Thanksgiving is pretty much the following week, so nothing's going to be happening there. So between November 21st and the 25th, pretty much a lot of many schools will be closed and no activity happening there again. November 28th, benefit issuance will start. And just as a reminder, every eligible child will receive $391 for summer P-EBT. Also, November 28th, we'll be sending out claim code notices to families that are unknown to HHSC. December 2nd, we should have completed summer benefit P-EBT issuance. And then leading into January of 2023, January 9th, families can contact HHSC to initiate an RFR, and HHSC will begin sending RFRs to schools, and schools will have about 15 business days to respond, which is a similar arrangement that we currently have in terms of response time. April 7th, that will be the last day for families to initiate a summer RFR. HHSC will send the forms to schools, and schools will have 15 days to respond. And this essentially kind of gives you a visual pathway of what summer P-EBT will look like for school year, for summer 2022. And so again, this is not to confuse it with 22-23, I mean summer 21-22. Okay, so again, this is just a visual to illustrate how that process will look like and how each of these steps need to happen before we issue benefits to students. So just kind of recapping real quickly what I went through the timeline. School POCs have user accounts to access HHSC's Your Texas Benefits portal to begin uploading. They should have that by October 28th. HHSC's YTB portal opens for school POCs to upload 2 lists of student data October 31st. School POCs upload student data, school year 21-22, and your newly Nslp eligible students between October 31st and November 11th. HHSC to send TNTDA uploaded report. TDA will outreach schools that haven't uploaded. So again, they're able to determine which schools kind of need a little push to be able to upload the data on time. HHSC will validate data and collaborate with TNTDA to address any identified errors between November 14th and the 18th. TDA to submit corrections to HHSC during that same week. So we have activities that are overlapping. And during that same period, HHSC is making those corrections, and then we proceed to issue benefits. Okay, and Ryan, I believe this is where you take over. Do you want me to keep projecting, or do you want to go ahead and project your screen?
I'll go ahead and share my screen here because I have
Hey,
quite a
Brian,
few
do you mind
different.
if I just say something really quickly based on the
Absolutely.
questions that are coming in? Thank you. I just wanted to, I see a few questions about COVID absences. COVID absences do not apply for the summer P-EBT program. So even students, in file 1, you can include students who did not have COVID absences throughout the 21-22 school year. This is for any student who was eligible for free and reduced price meals, or they were homeless, migrant, or identified as foster care. It's for anybody, any one of those scenarios. So I just wanted to clarify that COVID absences do not apply for this summer program. But I will turn it over to Ryan now.
All right. Okay, so I'm Ryan Albert. I'm with HHSC here on their communications team. So I'll be walking you through this next handful of slides here, and then we'll do a demo. But really kind of the way I see this is what you've heard so far is kind of what we're doing. And then this next piece is kind of how this should look for you. So we'll walk through, again, a handful of slides here. And I will say that if you're familiar with P-EBT and past rounds here, it is very similar. There are really only a couple of things that are changing or have changed for this round. So I'll definitely point those things out to you. But we can walk through the slide here that has to do with accounts being set up. So as in past rounds, we at HHSC, we're going to create accounts for those points of contact and the school districts or private schools for new points of contact. So if somebody has participated in this before, already sent us data in the past, they already have an account, they will not get another email from us. They will continue to use that past account. Now, obviously, if there's a new person at that district or school, we would create a new account for them, but existing accounts should be used in this next round. Your username is going to be the same format. There often is some confusion around this. It's not a user's email address. It is in this format you see on the screen here. So it's P-EBT _, and then either a 5 or 6 digit number, which is the district ID or the CE ID, followed by an underscore, and then your first letter of your first name, underscore, and then last name. So if I'm setting this up as Ryan Albert and my district ID is 333333, then I'm going to be P-EBT _ 333333 _R for Ryan, and then underscore, and then Albert. In the email that is sent out, and we'll take a look at that email in a few minutes here, there is a temporary password included, and that will be needed to sign in for that first time. And again, we'll walk through that process of what it looks like to put that in, and then setting a unique password instead of using the temporary password. We do have the issue here where temporary passwords will expire 14 days after they are sent. So as we look at the timeline for when things are sent in this, the weekend of October 22nd or 23rd, I believe, it'll be 2 weeks from that date that user will need to use that temporary password or it will no longer be good, and they'll have to reach out to us to get a new temporary password. So similar stuff here. So those new points of contact are going to receive an email from us at the address listed on the screen here, telling them that an account has been created. Walk them through that process. It'll have a link. And again, we'll take a look at that. And we would say if somebody was supposed to get an email address because they have a new account, again, if they've been doing this before, they won't be getting an email from us. But new points of contact should have the email by that Monday morning on October 24th. If they don't, they should email us. We have seen where our emails go to spam or are blocked. It does have language like temporary password and that type of thing, where some systems might see that as a little spammy and block it. So if you don't hear from us by that Monday, please let us know. We'll be monitoring that mailbox throughout this whole period here and be able to forward on the information that would be needed to sign in for that first time. Okay, so we have this upload portal. Again, might be very familiar with this, but on our yourtexasbenefits.com website, we've created this upload portal, which is how we will be getting the student information from you. So that's what you'll be logging into. That's how we get the information, how we determine that eligibility, and then issue benefits to students. So the portal, as you saw a couple screens ago with Tausi, for the timeline, the portal is going to open on Halloween, where you can begin uploading student data. You will need to use that Excel CSV file. Again, we'll take a look at that. And as Tausi mentioned, there are these couple of different types of files. And this is one of the new things because we do have these new groups. Anybody who was eligible during the school year is in that first group, and then a second group of those who became newly eligible during the summer period. And also just another reminder here, Tausi mentioned this too, but please don't combine those students because it won't turn out right for us for issuing benefits. So if you just put it all into one file and we're doing that check to see if they were enrolled at the end of the last school year, those newly eligible students obviously would not show up on the list. So they would not get benefits, they would get denied. So we need to make sure we're separating those and we're uploading two types of files. And that was one clarification I wanted to make on what Annika even talked about, where it said file 1 and file 2. I mean, we'll take a look at these actual files, but I just didn't want there to be confusion around files. I think maybe we should have changed that in our presentation when Annika talked about with like two different groups. Like I said, the school year group plus the newly eligible group, because the file and the file naming convention we'll talk about, and there has been confusion on that in the past. Okay, so the upload template, as I mentioned, is on yourtexasbenefits.com. The template, if you don't have it already, if you need it again, once the website is up here, you'd be able to log in and access that template. The portal closes on November 11th, which is Veterans Day, so it's likely that your school will be closed that day. So we just wanted to put that extra notification out there. I'm sure we're all tracking those days off, so probably not a surprise, but it does close on November 11th on that Friday. That could be a holiday for you. Okay, so as we take a look at what needs to be included in this file, broken it down in a couple of different ways here. There's kind of a student section and a parent section. So for students, and again, we'll take a look at the spreadsheet together in a couple of minutes here. For the students, we do need first and last name, date of birth, gender, social security, or S number for public schools, and that unique ID, district ID for public schools, the CE ID for private schools, campus ID, school year, and semester. And again, I'll point this out as we get to that in a minute, but we are calling this S3, like semester 3. If you've been involved in these past couple of rounds of uploads, and we had semester 1 and semester 2, and we called that S1 and S2. So for the summer period here, we're calling that S3. For parents, we do need first and last name. That is required. The date of birth is optional, but we definitely recommend if you have that, please include that, because that will even assist the family when it comes time to issue a P-EBT card with benefits loaded on it. Our system uses a date of birth to get people kind of signed in and activate their cards. So providing that will definitely help those families kind of have a better way to do that. Otherwise, there is a workaround in place, which we can explain if they give us a call, and we can talk about that. But the date of birth is definitely something that would help and make that more seamless for the family. Also, the email and phone number are optional, but again, if you have it, please include it. We have sent out emails to families who, for example, have not claimed their benefits after a certain amount of time, as we'll talk about these claim codes. So we have sent out large or emails to large groups that said, just wanted to make sure you've received your notices in the mail. You have benefits waiting for you, so just wanted to make sure you didn't miss that. Give us a call if you have questions. So that will be helpful in getting that word out if we run into that situation again, where we have a lot of people who have not yet claimed their benefits after a while has passed. As far as primary address goes, that is required to ensure benefits are issued to the correct parent. So we ask for the standard stuff of address, city, state, and zip. And please make sure the correct address is uploaded because again, here we want to make sure they're getting those benefits or claim codes. That is an important piece for us because we will do mailings and we need to make sure that gets to the right place. Okay, so as far as uploading, this is like a big tip, and you can even get started on this, today, just to make sure you're all set. Although I guess that these are ESC, so districts could get started or schools could get started on this today. And that is making sure that the school or district, whoever is going to be uploading these files, does have access through their IT system to 2 separate domains here that are required to upload things. So yourtexasbenefits.com, I think we've run into very few instances where there's been any issues with that website being blocked. You can't simply go to yourtexasbenefits.com. If you make it through, that means your system is good to go at your school or district. There is this other domain that comes in. It's kind of happening and working behind the scenes as there are uploads happening. If you just go to that domain, it's going to say like restricted or access denied or something, and that's actually what you should get. It's if you were to try to go to that and you get some other kind of error message that your local district or school, their IT settings have set up. So it would be helpful. It'd probably be good ahead of time just to prevent issues later for schools and districts to just, again, you could try yourtexasbenefits.com and make sure that works, but get in touch with your local IT team and ask that they make sure that that second domain here is whitelisted, meaning you have access to it. The common issue here is that if a district or school does not have access to that, they'll get to the website, they'll be able to start the upload process. They pick a file, they try to upload it, and then the website just spins and the file doesn't go through. So that typically the issue there is that they had this other website blocked. So that's an important piece that people can get started on as soon as possible just to have that set to go.
And this is Leanne from TEA. I know most of you have worked through this, but please, I stress, do not wait until the last minute to check this, because it does take some time to get it resolved. With the experience we've had with school districts that have experienced this issue, we know that it has taken their technical team time to get all of this set up on their side. Sometimes I think it was a couple of weeks. So please be sure you've checked all of this, well in advance of starting to upload your files.
The other thing just to check here, again, go to yourtexasbenefits.com. You should see something like you see on the left-hand screen there. We've got a banner message. If you scroll down, you'll see more about our benefits. But in the top right-hand corner, just click login. And then that would, again, be an indication that you're good to go. Everything seems to be working ahead of time. Okay, so there will be issues, just like always. There will be some confusion and everything. So a few things we want to do here, just similar to the last round of P-EBT for how we would prefer these all get handled. Number one is the help guide that we provide. I would guess that 80–90% of issues probably could be resolved by checking that help guide. We've got it outlined pretty well, all the different topics, all the different steps. There's even some common issues that we identify and a few things to try to resolve those things. So, I don't know how it went. Those of you who were involved last time, you may have been like we have been doing in the past as we monitor our mailbox, is that we're just copying and pasting right from that help guide when people have questions. So definitely be pointing to that help guide for the people that you're working with, because that's going to be a go-to tool that will resolve, like I said, likely most of the issues. If somebody, has that issue with the help guide, can't find it, the next step would be to work with all of you at the ESCs. And again, hopefully this type of information that we're providing today is going to help you resolve some of this and the resources and tools that we do have available. We do have the TEA and TDA website, email address here you can check in with, and they can provide some assistance. And then finally, the third bullet here is just if there are technical issues, if it's like we have tried anything and everything, let us know at HHSC. So again, our mailbox here, the PEBT_data@hhs.texas.gov. We'll be monitoring that. We monitor that all the time and are able to respond if there are questions, issues, if there are issues with logins, locked accounts, password type stuff. We can handle all that by checking in through that email address. Okay, so I'm going to shift gears here. I'm going to stop sharing the presentation, and you should be seeing my blue background here, and I'll end up moving quite a bit of things over to take a look at. So I will be sharing, like I said, kind of several things, but since this is recorded, I may not spend a whole lot of time on it, but hopefully it still gives some good explanations of what we're looking at here. So let me start with the email that will be sent as for account creation. So the email will come from us, and it will list the name that this is going to. So this is just the test account here. So it was put in as Nee is the first name, Tom is the last name. So if you look at this, it does include that district ID or CEID. It shows where to go to yourtexasbenefits.com, and you click that login in the top right-hand corner. You do need to put in the username, which is explained here, and also points out that this is not your email address. I did have one person who I went back and forth with via email last time around, and they were convinced this should have been their login with J Doe. I had to explain that this is customized for you, for your district, for your name. So this is the format that it should be in for public schools and then private schools. And then it lists the temporary password in that email as well, and notes that it will be good for 14 days. So again, that should be going out by October 24th. If somebody hasn't received it by then, they should let us know. Hopefully you've seen this already, but just to give you a glimpse of our upload guide. So like I said, we have it broken down into the different steps and areas, and there is that troubleshooting section. There is an area as we look at the file in a minute here that shows exactly what should be in each of those different columns. So this would be a good place to start, just to take a look at how this all works right here in our upload guide, which again, you can get on our website or should have been sent out previous to this call. Okay, the next thing I want to take a look at is just this upload template. Again, very similar to past rounds, but a couple of differences. So this is what the blank template is going to look like. As we mentioned, and as we were talking through the slides, this template, like the names and the columns, they need to all stay the same. Feel free to expand these columns if you need to. It will show how many characters it will accept. So like this 9 is what it will accept here in column A, 1 in column B. So, feel free to expand these as needed, but do not go in here and even put a space or anything, because that will throw things off. And it will give a header and trailer error, which we'll see in just a minute here. And then also the end of student records, that does need to be in this column A in the row immediately following the last line of student data. And we'll take a look at an example here. But if somebody clicks in a box down below that end of student records, and again, even if it's just a space or there's a letter somewhere down in a cell down the page or way over to the right, that's going to cause that error. So again, this is the template. It goes out through column V. So the differences here are from the last round is there's no column for number of absences. This is for everybody who was eligible for those meals, as was mentioned. So there's no inserting any kind of days or anything. It's just this flat amount of $391 for everybody who ends up being eligible for the summer period. There is a change indicator column, and that is outlined in that upload guide. If somebody uploads a list of students and then realizes that they shouldn't have uploaded somebody, as long as that upload window is still open and they still have access to upload files, that upload guide will show you exactly what you need to do. You'd put just one letter in that with the student's information, and that's going to delete it out of our system. But again, once the portal closes, you wouldn't be able to do that. So we just want to make sure, after you upload things, if something were to come up, that would need to be changed before the upload window closes. Okay, so let me take you over to the website, show what that looks like. So I'm on a test account here, so this isn't live for what we're going to be looking at here, but so we see yourtexasbenefits.com, and you're going to hit login to get into the system. So I want to actually start off here by taking a look at what that looks like for the new user. So we saw that email that was sent to, I believe it was Tom, and so here we've created that username based on that information. So the P-EBT _108907, which is the district ID, _N_Tom. And then we're going to put in that temporary password. Let me try that again. Of course, this happens right now. Okay, go back to that email and see if that's the same one. Okay, well, we're going to skip this part then. I will tell you all is when you do log in for the first time, it will take you to another screen, and then it will be like kind of a standard thing when you go to a website to change your password. So you would insert your temporary password once you get there, and then you would choose your new password. You have to enter that twice. There are some things that has to meet in terms of characters and things like that. Those will all be outlined on the page. And then there are also 3 questions that you can choose from that are security questions. So there are questions like, what was your high school mascot? What's your mom's maiden name? What was your first car type thing? And those will set it up so that if somebody does forget their password, they would be able to go back to those questions, answer them, and then reset their password on their own without having to reach out to anybody. Okay, so let's try to log in here to an account that is already set up. Oh, do we have our IT team on the phone? I don't know if Ken is here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Any ideas why this isn't working?
But I was there earlier, so let me try that once again. Give me a second.
Hey, Ryan, while we're waiting, I wanted to see if you could cover 2 things. The first one being, can you just cover one really quickly, when to change the version number on the file name and when not to change it?
Yes, and so I can, well, that is not happening. I did want to point out a few things on file names. So hopefully this is big enough on the screen here to be able to see it. So this is for this test account. So I'm up here in the 101s type thing. So you wouldn't need to start at 101. You can definitely start at 1. So we have the 2 groups of files, and that's going to be, again, the school year and then the newly eligible. So the way that we have this set up is there is a file here. Here's an example of it having information in it. If you open it and you see these different symbols here, if you just expand it, it'll show up right. So all the information is in there. let's say you upload it and then it comes back with errors. What we would want you to do is, well, in that error file, which again, if I can make it in here to an account, we'll be able to see what that error file looks at, what it shows you. But it will identify what information is incorrect. So let's say this was uploaded and just like this, our system is going to come back and say, well, for this person, this child, Olive Branch, it was missing a social security number. So what we would want you to do, we've got this file, let's say this is file just 1. We would want you to go back to that file 1, put that number in, save it with the same file name, and then re-upload it rather than creating like file 2. You certainly could upload file 2, but then it turns into kind of a mess in your on the screen in terms of your uploads, because it's going to show errors. Basically, your goal is to have no errors on that upload history screen that we can hopefully see here. If there are errors, it means that nobody in that file has been added to our system and would not be getting benefits. The goal is to get it to where it either says processed successfully or it says processed duplicates found. Those both mean it's processed, you're good to go, nothing more needs to happen. But if there are errors, all the students in that file, not just those with errors, would not be uploaded. So every student needs to be in a file that has either that processed successfully or processed with duplicates found.
So really, you would change the version number, and Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm right or wrong. You would correct the version number when maybe you forgot to add students in file 1. Maybe you realize, oh, I forgot to add these 5 students. So you're going to go create file 2 and add those 5 extra students in file 2. Would that be a good scenario for that?
That would be a good scenario. Also, we do have a limit on 10,000 students per file. Right. So if you are in a very large district and you have more than that, you would need to do multiple uploads, multiple files with kind of the incremental changes in the name. You can start with file 1, go to file 2, go to file 3, and so on.
All right, thank you. And then the second part of that question I can answer. It says, does the indicator column need to be present? I'm not sure exactly what that question is, or what that means, but every column that is in that template has to be in the upload file. If you do not have every single column in the order that it's in there, you're going to error out. They're going to error out no matter what. So you have to have that column, but you need to go look at the help guide to see what needs to be in that column. If it's a brand new student, it's going to be a blank. If you're trying to delete a student, you're going to put a D. So yes, the indicator column needs to be present, but there's going to be a different indicator in there depending on what you're trying to do with that student.
Right, so don't delete any columns, even if they're blank. Okay, looks like I'm back in business here working, so I apologize for that. Let me share that screen again. Okay, all right. Again, sorry for that mix up. Let me go back to this. So we've just gotten this email that we have an account created. Now let's pull our password out of that and then create that username based on our district or CEID and our name. So you're going to get to this change password page. So as I mentioned, you're going to put in that temporary password. You're going to have to choose a new password. There are the password instructions over on the right-hand side here. And then you're going to answer those 3 questions. You're going to hit next, and then you're going to have to log in again using those new credentials. So it'll give you the password strength here as well. Okay, so we got that down. Let me now go to one of these accounts that appear. They've been used, so we can see what things look like when we're in there, and we can upload files. Okay, so you're going to land on this upload files history page. As I mentioned, this is a test site, so we've got dozens of files in here, and we'll come back to the screen in a minute, but we want to go over to the upload files page. And so on this page, it's going to give you the links to that spreadsheet template, so that can be downloaded right there. And to skip to the bottom here, that help guide can be downloaded at the bottom. Somebody needs it. But this outlines about how you need to use in that particular format. It shows what it needs to be saved as. And then here are those two groups. So the NSLP eligible school year students, there's the file format that you're going to use, which is exactly what we've done in the past. So if you uploaded semester 1 or semester 2 files for this year, the only difference here is that that 1 or 2 is now a 3. And then there's the second type of file for that second group. And so we're going to do exactly the same thing, except we're putting NE for newly eligible in front of the file. So again, if you have multiple files here, it's going to be this underscore NE file 1, and then NE underscore NE file 2, and then file 3, and so on. So that's going to be how we delineate between those two different groups. So to upload files, you can drag a file here or you can browse for it. So I am going to go back to where I have these saved. So we've got this one here that is in the right format, has the right file name, and then we're going to upload the file. And then you do have to confirm here that to the best of your knowledge, what you're sending us is accurate. And then it's going to show up on the upload files history page, and it's going to show pending validation that has been received. So I believe that in this round, we are going to have this validation happening during the week continually. It may be in the beginning that we do it overnight, so this won't be an instant thing. This would be normal for you to go in and see pending validation for a period of time. That means we've got it. The file had the right format. You're good to go in terms of it being set up correctly, but we're going to go through it on the back end and we're going to see if there are any errors in there. So we'll get back to those errors in just a minute here. Let me go back down here and browse for another file. And so this is going to be for that other group, newly eligible in the summertime. So again, this also 101 here. The other one was 101, but it didn't have that NE in there. So this is for that newly eligible group. We're going to upload that, same process. It's going to show up there as received and pending validation. So now let's see some examples of when it doesn't work. So let's go back here and let's say you name it something else. Even if you're using the right format, you call it file 1. You try to get it in that window to upload, and it's going to say it cannot be uploaded. The name of the file does not match the criteria, and it shows you what that criteria should be, and it's going to point a user to that upload guide or that help guide for additional information. So let me try another one here, and that is going to. This is something that we ran into quite a bit last time around, and let me pull this over so that you can see it. But basically what we're looking at here is we lay it out and say, here's how you need to name a file. You do your district ID 2022 S3, the file name, and it needs to be a CSV file. And we heard from lots of people who said, I promise you, I'm saving this exactly how you've said to save it. And it turns out that they have .csv in the file name. So really, the name of this file is the 108.911 blah 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 file 101.csv.csv. So we want to make sure that it's not in the file name. It's just the type of file that is being saved. One troubleshooting thing that I walked several people through last time. So let's look at this. If we right click on it and go to properties, and you look at the file name here, you can see that's the file name and then the type of file. So we see that it's a CSV file. So this is what I would direct people to do. And okay, now right click on your file. And if you see CSV in this top line, that means it shouldn't be there. So in that case, you would just need to delete that .csv from the file name. So then it is named correctly and would be able to be uploaded. Okay, and then one more I want to do here, and that is I just have this file 102, and what I've done in that one is that I have changed some of what's in the header. I think I deleted a column or made a text change in there, so it's going to accept it on this screen that you see here. So here it's going to say, file 102 is ready to send, and then I'm going to hit upload, confirm that I think it's correct, and then it's going to tell me it cannot be uploaded because it's at that point that it checks that header and trailer, and it has realized that I have deleted a column, I have added something after that end of student records line. Something is outside of what's expected, so you would have to go back to that. So this is, again, a very common issue, and it can be one of those handful of things, whether it's in that top row, the end of student records is in the wrong place, or basically there is some character added outside of what's expected. So in this case, this file would not be uploaded. You'd have to go back and fix that header and trailer. And again, we would encourage to just upload the file, save it with the same file name. You don't need to create a new, add a number on in this case. You just keep that same file name and send it back to us. Okay, now let's go to, I think the final part that I want to show you, and that is the upload files history page. So we've seen here, again, we have 2 files received and pending validation. So that'll sit there until we validate it on our end. And then after that, it'll end up being one of these statuses that you see below. So in this case, for file 81, we found that there are 6 errors. So let's open that error file, and it's going to point out exactly what happened on that file. Okay, so it's going to list the basic information about the student. It's going to give you the line number in the file, and then it's going to give you what was wrong. So for Chris here, we have an invalid field length for school year or student gender, and I believe it groups these, so it's going to be one of these things that would be off. Hopefully, once you go in and look at the file and you're pointed in the right direction, you'd be able to see what's wrong if it's in parentheses like this. For the next one down here, we see that there are a couple of different issues. It's going to be one of these things within the parentheses, but also it has an invalid campus ID. So in this case, again, you want to go back to that original file. So in this case, it would be file 81. You want to make all those changes within file 81, save it, and then re-upload it as file 81. You don't need to change it to file 82. Just make those changes. Keep everybody else in the file. Don't take anybody out. We need you to fix those and send it all back to us. And then, so again, you would upload it again, then it would be receive pending validation, and then hopefully you get to one of these other statuses here that we see. So one is processed successfully. That means you are set, all the students you had in there, good to go. They are in our system, no problem. If you see this process duplicates found, that also means you're good to go, but we do show you where you can download a file and you can see where there were duplicates. So if you happen to have a student in there twice, it would point that out, but everybody in that file has been accepted. It's just that there were duplicates that we found in there, either within the file, like they're mentioned twice, or they have already been included in a previous upload. Okay, and then finally, the issuance status. So this will not show up for a while. This is going to show up after we have actually issued benefits. So the time frame we're looking at here is you're uploading early November. We start to issue benefits there the last week of November into early December. And then after all those benefits are issued, we come back around and we post an issuance report. So I know we get a lot of questions asking about, when can you let me know if everybody I uploaded got benefits? Again, that's the timing for when this would show up. So you could click on the issuance report. So we'll open that up. And it's going to look hopefully just like the file that you sent in. All the students would be there. It's just that there were only 2 in this one. And then if you go all the way to the right column, column W, you would see the status. So we would see that benefit was already issued. The benefit was not issued. Let's see what that. So not enrolled. They weren't enrolled at the end of the school year. Let me find one that actually shows they were issued, so you can see what those statuses look like. So one is not claimed. Not claimed means we sent a claim code. And so initially that's what the status is going to be, because we send that that notice to the family. It could take, 3, 4, 5 days for that to get to the family. They would need to contact us, and they have 90 days to do that. So just because it says not claimed doesn't mean it won't be claimed. It just means it has not been claimed yet. And then let me just try to find one more here that shows benefit issued, and then I will wrap it up. Nope, struck out on that one again. Okay, let's try one more and then we'll move on. Okay, here we go. Benefits issued and pending claim. So those are possible statuses as well. Okay, so with that, I will turn it back over here and move on to the next part.
Thanks, Ryan. Is that the end of your slide, or are you gonna be talking about something different?
Nope, I'm good. I'm done. That was all my stuff.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ryan. So we've reached the end of the upload training presentation on our side. And so now we're going to open the floor to questions from you all. And I think Leanne has been kind of sharing some of those and responding to them during the presentation. But I think at this time, we're opening it up for any questions so that we can answer TDA, TDA, or HHSC.
All right, Kelsey, most of these questions I'm going to be asking are more for HHS, because Annika and I have been trying to answer these questions, but 2 things I wanted to clarify. Again, absences do not apply for summer P-EBT, whether they're COVID or a regular absence. You don't have to worry about absences whatsoever for this file. On the TEA slides, so HHS, if y'all could give me an opportunity to update some of the slides for TEA, I'm going to make it align with the way TDA had their slides, where we say file 1, include these students, file 2, include these students, because I can clearly see that we need to communicate that a little. We need to be a little bit more clear in that. So we will update that. But again, you do not need to worry about absences whatsoever in this file, or for summer P-EBT. The other thing is for the summer, for 21-22 school year, it's for students who were eligible for free and reduced price meals. So again, they were coded as O1 or O2 at any point during the school year, or they were identified as foster migrant or homeless at any point throughout the school year. And then if they were at a CEP or P2 campus, then all of those students are eligible for the upload. So I just wanted to clarify that for everybody, because those are some of that we continue to get that same question here within the presentation. So I'm going to kind of move forward and go ahead and ask HHS to answer some of these questions. So the first one being, will existing accounts be updated if there are inaccurate date of births or there was a different default date of birth assigned for the prior year?
I will ask our IT staff member to respond to that. I'm not sure if they'll need the entire record to be updated and sent to us as a new record, but I'll let Ken respond to that.
No, it doesn't need to be. These are only for the account creation process, right? So once it's created, you don't need to update the date of birth. Would that work?
I don't think that's what they're asking. I think they're asking is, can they update the date of birth? Because if you remember, Ken, last year when the first time we created these accounts, there were some people who did not want to provide a date of birth. So we went with a default date of birth for that entire, group of LEAs that were within an ESC. So they're asking if there was a default date of birth applied at that time, can they update
Got
that?
it. Okay. Yeah, they cannot update the date of birth on the YTP portal. I mean, they will have to send it to us manually, and we have to update it manually on our side.
Yeah, so I think the answer to that is we really don't want to be updating any of that if at all possible. That's why we've been asking you all from the ESCs to let your districts know what default date of birth was uploaded for them. I also do see some hands raised. If you could try to put your question in the chat. I'm trying to answer those as we, as the questions are coming in. So the next question is for HHS. We have had many LEAs concerned that HHS was telling parents to call the campus because they had not received benefits. Can you address the HHS efforts to minimize this miscommunication?
So I don't know if Dwayne is here. He may not be able to join or be able to unmute. Part of the issue we had with this past round, definitely we identified we had an issue, and unfortunately, a lot of those parents were pointed to schools incorrectly. So there was an issue with the training and the communication that was happening within our vendor that runs the P-EBT call center. And so we worked kind of repeatedly with them to try to resolve that. I think eventually it stopped. We stopped getting the emails, but I know it did add a lot of work for the districts, and they didn't know where to point people. So I think I would say we will definitely have to work with Dwayne, who is now going to be over that call center and providing and making sure their scripts are all accurate, and make sure that doesn't happen again, because that should not have happened. There was a mix-up somewhere on that vendor end, and we, like I said, we were on them for weeks to try to update that, but it seemed to not resolve the issue. So we will definitely have that on the radar as we get started with the next round here.
Thanks, Ryan. The next question, Ken, is for you. What do you expect process times to be for a file that has 10,000 records in there?
So just like in the last round, we validated the files from Monday to Friday between 9 to 5 p.m. So in every single hour. So you should be able to see that the file validated like in an hour or two for sure.
And that's for a file that has the 10,000 records in it, Ken?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. The next question I'll go ahead and try to take, it's how often is the issuance report updated to show if a parent claimed? So the issuance report that Ryan was referring to is not, it's the issuance report that TEA has been sharing with you all to let you know which districts have uploaded and which ones have not. We do not receive a report from HHS to determine if a parent has claimed or not. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear. The issuance report is related to the districts or the LEAs that have uploaded, not parents who have claimed. The next question is there a contact with HHS for instances where a parent contacts the district and further help is needed that can be obtained from the call center?
So is that question like an escalation? They've tried calling
Yeah,
the
I think
P-EBT call center?
that's what it sounds like, Ryan. Like maybe they got some information from the P-EBT call center. The parent is telling them, and so is there somewhere that the district can, someone at the district can contact at HHS to validate that information? I guess is maybe what they're asking. Yeah,
I mean, I would say we have that our email address, the P-EBT_data HHS email address. As a district. Yeah, they could reach out to us that way. We wouldn't want, it probably wouldn't be appropriate for families to be reaching out to us in that way. But if the district has a question, if there's an issue, they could reach out to us there, and we could find an answer or get back to them.
Okay. And we're being asked if the file templates are available yet. I could have sworn we shared these a while back. It was in an earlier email, but we will be sure that we share that again when we share these updated materials with everybody. And then we're being asked questions about the ADA eligibility codes of 0 and 9. And so we will, I will take those questions back, and we will be sure that we get those answers back to you. And just to let everybody know, we will go through all of these questions here. I know we've been trying to answer them. Annika and I have been trying to answer them as quickly as possible as they've been coming in, but we will also put them together in a format that we will send out to everybody, so you have that as a reference. And I see a hand raised. It says it's Beth Polo, but I know it's not Beth Polo. Is there a question that you can put in the chat?
I don't know what's wrong. I only received a link, and I am a
presenter. I think you got the presenter link accidentally, so the panelist link accidentally. We'll go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, well, my name is Jenny Allen, not Beth Polo, and I have 2 questions. One is, can you confirm that the file layout, it looks exactly like the fall and the spring, except for one field is missing, number of days eligible?
That's correct. Since COVID absences do not apply for summer P-EBT, we pulled that column from this file layout. So that is correct.
I just want to make sure I could tell my programmers it's the same except for that one field. And then I'm still confused about the newly eligible. So if someone is newly eligible during the summer, July 1st through August 29th, and they were not enrolled in the 21-22 school year, we still send them if they are going to be enrolled in this year in a school that's eligible.
You would go ahead and send them, because you may not necessarily know whether they were enrolled in the prior school year. So you're still going to send a student who became newly eligible within that time frame, but that validation with that attendance data for the prior school year at the end of the prior school year is what's going to determine whether that student actually receives the benefit. So, just to be clear with everybody, not everybody that is uploaded will necessarily receive the benefits, because they may not have been enrolled in an NSLP campus. That's another caveat to it. It's not just that they were enrolled at the end of the school year, they had to be enrolled at an NSLP campus at the end of the prior school year.
And when you
Does that make sense?
Yeah, when you say the end of the prior school year, do you mean the last month of the school year or the last day?
So we're using the last 6 weeks for the attendance data that was reported in the summer, because that's the best data that TEA has.
Okay.
We did not want districts to be trying to determine if a student was enrolled at the end of the prior school year. In some cases, you wouldn't know. Some districts don't know that, or where they don't necessarily know. I mean, most do, but some may not have all of the information that they need to determine eligibility. So that's why we wanted to go ahead and just provide. And this is the same process that we used last year for the summer P-EBT program. We provided the attendance files to HHS so they could validate that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then we will also send the upload guide with the meeting link for this meeting. That's something that we also need to go update, and I'll talk to HHS about that. One thing that one of our vendors pointed out is that our header in the template was not exactly written out the way it is. The way it is in the help guide. So there's a little bit like there's an extra space in the help guide that's not in the template. So we'll go get those aligned, and then we will send everything out. So if you guys will just give us a couple of days to get everything updated and back out to you, we would appreciate that. Okay, so we've received a question. Our next question is, okay, Annika is answering it, so I'll go ahead and just let her answer. Annika, do you want to talk about that one? You want to just come online and talk about it?
Yeah, sure. I can do that. Yeah. So the question is, what if the student was enrolled in an NSLP campus? This says district, but we do it at the campus level. last year, but has moved to a non-NSLP campus this year. So this is summer P-EBT is an extension of school year 21-22 P-EBT. So if that student was eligible for free or reduced price meals during the school year and they still attended in the last month of the school year, then they are eligible for summer P-EBT benefits.
Okay, the next question is, if the student is enrolled with the district in the 21-22 school year for one day in the last 6 weeks and is economically disadvantaged, and I'm assuming you mean an O1 or an O2, should that student be included in the district's file, or is there an amount of days enrolled? There's no amount of days that they must have been enrolled. Again, if they were enrolled in the 21-22 school year, were identified as economically disadvantaged at any point in the school year, it does not necessarily have to be in the last 6 weeks. They are eligible for summer P-EBT if they were enrolled or if they had attendance in the last 6 weeks at an NSLP campus. I see something about vendors pulling district of residence, not district where they were enrolled. So we'll make sure that is corrected or mentioned. So we will go ahead and clarify that in our communication. So the next question is, if a student is newly eligible but was not enrolled in 21-22, but they will be enrolled in 22-23, will they be in the first or second file? So if they were newly eligible, that means that they were eligible between the July 1st to August 29th timeframe, and you would include them in the NE file upload, which is the second file. But if they were not enrolled at the end of the last school year, they're not going to receive benefits. So again, please upload anybody who became newly eligible, whether you know they were enrolled or not, because we need to be sure that we are looking at that attendance data to confirm their attendance at the end of the school year.
And then I'm seeing a follow-up to the question I just answered. Yeah, where it says, so in this situation, how would the student be reported? The non-NSLP campus would not necessarily know. And yeah, they would not be doing the upload because they wouldn't have the credentials to do so. You should be reporting your school year 21-22 students. So the students who were eligible during that time period. It's not necessarily all of your current students. It's your school year 21-22 students. And then there's also the newly eligible students. But yes, a non-NSLP campus will not be participating in this upload, but you should be looking at your school year 21-22 students.
Monica, do you want to take the next one, or do you want me to go ahead and take that one?
Sorry, yeah, I can do that. For the, will there be two files for P2 or CEP? You shouldn't separate out your P2 or CEP. Just be thinking of CEP or P2, those students, except for the situation that I noted about the campuses that began operating CEP in the school year 22-23, this current school year. You should think about CEP and P2 as those children have free or reduced price eligibility. So they should be included in your other files, not separate files.
And I just answered a question online about the attendance data. Again, TEA is providing a file, just like we did last year, to HHS, and HHS is bumping up the uploaded files that are coming in from the LEAs. They're bumping that up against the attendance file that TEA has provided to them.
And I'll just mention that for private schools, since nobody collects the attendance or enrollment data from private schools, typically TDA is doing that from the private schools. We have done that as a separate data collection. But they will also be bumped up against those to verify enrollment for eligibility.
And let me clarify, there's a question that came in asking, do you upload eligible students for 21-22 or only those that were eligible with attendance? You do not need to worry about attendance. We were trying to make this upload as simple as possible, as we know that this is a difficult submission with all of the other submissions that you all have to do. So we are only asking that you upload the eligible students, and TEA is providing that attendance data to HHS to do that validation for you. So you do not need to worry about their attendance at the end of the prior school year.
And one thing I thought of, I don't know if it'll cause any confusion or anything, but you know, since we're asking for all eligible children during the 21-22 school year, you know, even if you uploaded those students because they had COVID absences and they've received school year P-EBT benefits, you need to upload them again in this upload period. Just because you sent them to us before doesn't mean we have them for this round. They would all need to be included.
And I just received a clarification about economically disadvantaged code 99. While economically disadvantaged code 99 is not included in this upload, there may be students who are identified as foster, migrant, or homeless who are coded 99. So, you know, again, we try not to look at the 99 code necessarily, try to just identify that they're foster, homeless, or migrant. And then they are eligible to be uploaded, regardless of their economically. So let me just say it this way: regardless of their eco-dist code, if they're homeless, foster, or migrant, they're eligible to be uploaded. I'm hoping that was a little bit more clear. Okay, if you're a CEP campus, you're uploading everybody. So just make sure if you're a CEP or you're a Provision 2 school, everybody within your district is eligible for 21-22. Annika, can you take the question about should the student be 01 or 02 after a certain date? Well, I guess I can just take this. It's really if they were 01 or 02 for the 21-22 school year. I mean, I guess it would be after 7-1 or after, right, Annika?
That's when the NSLP program year
Correct.
began. Yes, so that would just make sense to fall within your school year anyway. And just as a reminder, once a student receives free or reduced eligibility status, they keep that for the entire school year. So.
Okay, and as I stated earlier, I'm going to be updating TEA slides to clearly outline what's in file 1 and file 2. So we will update those and get those back out there. Okay, are there any other questions related to 21-22? Because I see questions coming in about 22-23.
I saw this, I've had this question come up before, so I just want to make clear too. I've had some questions from folks that say, well, we didn't operate summer school or we didn't operate a summer meal program. Does that mean, you know, we don't do summer P-EBT? It's not, you don't have to have operated a summer meal program, a summer school, or anything. Summer P-EBT is a continuance. It's a benefit that's made available by the federal government for students who are eligible, in school year 21-22, and of course, this newly eligible population. So regardless of summer school, all of that stuff, if you had eligible students in school year 21-22, or this newly eligible population between July 1st and August 29th, they should be included.
And again, I just want to clarify, because I think we're running at about 9 minutes left. All students at CEP and PE2 campuses are eligible for upload, regardless of their economic disadvantaged status. So all students are eligible for free and reduced price meals at CEP and P2 schools. Therefore, they are eligible for PEBT. Again, if they don't have attendance at the end of the 21-22 school year, then they will not receive the benefits, but they are eligible for upload.
Just with the caveat that if the CEP campus is new or began operating CEP in this school year, then they still have to have the individual determination. But in most cases, yes, those who were CEP last year, that is a blanket eligibility for P-EBT.
Correct. Thank you for that clarification, Monica. Okay, last call for questions on 21-22. And again, if you all have any questions, for TEA, you're welcome to send questions after you, think about this a little bit more. Please send questions to the TSDS customer support email box, and we will cover those. We'll answer those as soon as we can. Annika, can you clarify about?
Yeah, I'm seeing. Yeah, so
P2.
Yeah, a P2 campus. If we're talking specifically about P2, that we don't have new P2 campuses. We only are doing new CEP campuses. So if it is a P2 campus, that means that they were already operating. And for students then who became newly enrolled in that campus between July 1st and August 29th, they would also be included in that, that eligibility bucket.
Okay, and I've just been asked to clarify, not everybody who's uploaded will be eligible for benefits. That is correct. If a student is not in, again, we're just asking you to upload your eligible students. If the student was not, the second requirement of P-EBT for summer is that the student must have been enrolled at the end of the school year, in the last month of the school year. So the only data that TEA has to verify that is attendance data, the 6 weeks attendance data. So, you may upload a student who is not enrolled in an NSLP campus at the end of the 21-22 school year, therefore they will not receive benefits. So just want to be very clear about that. And also in your communication, that, when you're communicating with your parents, that just because a student was eligible, if they were not enrolled, then they will not receive those benefits. Or they were not, if they didn't have attendance, sorry. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close us out. There's one question. I know I said we were not going to cover 22-23 P-EBT in this session, but I just want to answer this question about, are we anticipating a 22-23 P-EBT collection? TEA did communicate last week information that we had received, that all 3 agencies had received from the Food Nutrition Services Department of USDA. And they are continuing the 22-23, or they are continuing P-EBT into 22-23. That guidance was released on September 8th. And so the 3 agencies are working together right now to determine next steps. And that's basically what our communication stated last week. The second part of that communication was that if we do move forward with P-EBT for 22-23, it does require the tracking of COVID absences. I do know that we've been receiving a lot of questions about COVID absences and what type of COVID absences make a student eligible. We are working, the 3 agencies are working together. So as soon as we have a more detailed plan and identify next steps, and again, we're waiting on our leadership to make a decision on next steps for P-EBT. So we really do not have any other information, but we did want to get that information out to you all as soon as possible. So if you did not receive that communication last week from TEA, please let us know so we can forward that to you.
And I'll just mention as well that we will be sending the same notice to all NSLP contracting entities in our NSLP newsletter coming up shortly.
And HHS confirming that 11/11 is the deadline for the 21-22 summer P-EBT uploads, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, so thank you, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and start closing this out. So thank you so much for participating in this webinar and in this presentation. I also want to thank each and every one of you for your continued support of this program. We all understand how difficult this program is, considering everything else that you all that's been asked of all of our school districts and ESCs and vendors. So we do appreciate your participation in this. Again, we're just trying to serve the students within our school districts as we are being asked to do by the federal government. So again, we thank you all so much for your participation. And if you have any questions, you are welcome to reach out to us. Again, we will update the slides. We will also update the help guide, and we will send all of the information, including this recording, to everybody within the next couple of days. And I see a couple of more questions coming in, but I'm just going to go ahead and take offline because we're just running out of time and I want to give people their time back. So again, thank you all so much. We appreciate it.